Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Twin Cities and New Spaces project here in the Paige neighborhood of Minneapolis. I have with me here my partner in crime, one of our lead designers, Ali, and today we're going to be covering a 1920s Colonial home. Tell us a little bit about what people will see when they visit.
Yes, so in this period home, we reconfigured the second level to accommodate a primary suite. We updated the second level hallway, and we also added the primary bathroom to create the primary suite. So we do have the updated amenities and design, but while also taking into account the original character of the house.
What you never see in this vintage of a home are these type of amenities. So I think you're going to be surprised and delighted at the same time as we take you through this transformation. We're now standing in what is the formal front living room of this 1920s Colonial. And there are some elements in this room that allowed us to do what we did upstairs. But first off, this front living room, the coffered ceiling that you see here, New Spaces did this almost 20 years ago. And what you don't know is that laid the framework for allowing Ali to do what we did upstairs. Ali, tell us a little bit about what we actually have going through these very beautiful decorative coffered ceiling beams.
Yes, so after we went through all our design plans, we landed on a plan where the homeowner wanted the bathroom at the front of the house, which is right under these beams and this coffered ceiling. And so when we were investigating how we are going to run all that, the pipes and the plumbing, we thought, well, why not utilize what we already have, open up one of the beams and tuck the plumbing and the pipes inside there.
Our design development process always focuses on what comes next. So here's an example of us coming back almost 20 years later, utilizing some of the structure that we put in place almost 20 years ago. Ali has a tendency of wanting to move bathrooms to the opposite end of the house. And that means systems need to be accommodated for. And when everything was said and done, our homeowner, Jill and Ali, came to the conclusion it is absolutely the best location for that primary bathroom. So here's an example of how systems get incorporated in architecture, or us designing architecture to house systems in order to make everything come together. We are now in the guest bedroom. And so this second floor, the scope of our work included a guest bedroom, a hall bath, and a primary suite. Together with Ali, as we're starting these design development processes, we recognized the value of bringing some of the amenities that we see today into the guest suite. What you see over here is a very simple but critical access point from a guest bedroom into the hall bath. And that means that with Jill's guests, they never have to step foot into the hallway to access the bathroom. And these amenities, these type of spatial access design items, we did not see in the 1920s. So this is going to be par for the course for the entire presentation, where we show amenities of today, 2025, incorporated in 1920s. Ali, why don't you show what we did here?
Yeah, so one kind of detail that we had to pay attention to is all of her other interior doors had this molding on the door. And this door we had to assemble on site. It's kind of hard to find the 1920s doors that she has, and so we wanted to make it look like it still fit in and it wasn't this new door that was completely not a part of the rest of the house and the character. So our skilled carpenter got the door as is with the center panel, but then applied the moldings to it, and so it really fits in with the rest of the character. And then it's super easy for her guests to open this and go right into the newly remodeled hall bath.
Our design team, when we are dealing with these period homes, the importance of staying period appropriate, of taking care of all the details are communicating the same story. So this door with the applied molding is one example of when we're taking product of today and we're making it look like this was produced in the 1920s. So when you deal with older homes, it is so incredibly important how every piece and part of the design and how you appoint the details, the profiles, to speak to that vintage. And I think our team did a tremendous job here. All the things, baseboard, casing, doors, and all profiles are a nod to the original architecture.
So Jill, our homeowner, she has a great eye for design, and she wanted to do something to kind of spice up this room and give it a little more character. And so she found some really beautiful wall covering. It's a grass cloth. And initially when you walk into the room, it does add visual interest. And then when you kind of get up a little closer and actually feel it, it has a really nice texture to it. So it gives it a little bit of that kind of 3D visual aesthetic to the room and adds that character back in. We are in the beautifully remodeled hall bath or guest bath, and Jill and I had a lot of fun picking out all the different features of this bathroom. We originally had a tub shower here, toilet is in the same location, and then over here where the shower is, we actually had a built-in cabinet. And then the pedestal sink was actually right by the toilet. So we reconfigured the whole layout to get a freestanding shower and then a larger vanity for more storage. So really made it a more functional layout. It also allowed for us to add the pocket door to the guest bath, and then that sink wouldn't be in the way. Some of the details about the materials in this room, we picked out the floor tile because Jill really wanted a bold pattern, something that stood out. So we found this tile, and the tile you're able to lay however you want to create whatever pattern you want. So when we met on site with the tile guy, we laid out every single tile to create the pattern that she wanted, and it turned out great. And then we also have a white oak vanity, freestanding vanity with a lot of storage, a quartz countertop with a little bit larger backsplash to just give it that additional character and that additional unique detail to the space. We also have a fully tiled shower. It's about a 2x10 tile, porcelain tile, but it has a little bit of that zallige or regular handmade look on the edges. So it still kind of fits in with that older feel of the house. It's not the crisp edges that you normally see today. And then we topped it all off with the black hexagon tile that really paired nicely with the bathroom floor tile.
A couple words about systems in this vintage of a home. Oftentimes we have radiator boiler systems that service as the HVAC source for the home. In this particular bathroom, if you can picture the olden days, massive large radiators, we've now used the same location for the actual supply lines that supply this radiator, but we switched the actual unit to what we call a slimline unit. It compresses and condenses space in small corridors. So these are some of the examples of how we deal with systems. We also oftentimes place a toe kick heat supply under the vanity in the toe kick space. But in this case, this was an ample and good way to deal with the radiator swap, create more room for the homeowner. This is where most of the magic happened in this project. This room sits directly above the formal living room that had the coffered ceiling. And I'm especially proud of Ali and Jill in laying out this room. There were a lot of different things to keep in mind. So why don't you kick us off, talk a little bit about what happened here.
Yeah, so when you originally walked into this primary bedroom, the whole entire space, bedroom and bathroom that you see now, was just all one big bedroom. There were some small closets on the far end on the back of the house, and then a small little closet that backed up to the hall bath. So huge room that you normally don't see in a 1920 period home to begin with. But then now that we were able to break it up into primary bedroom, primary bath, and give Jill that primary suite that gives you ample room in the bedroom and also a lot of room in the bathroom.
This space plan, as Ali brought up, incredibly generous. And a lot of times in our design development process, our design team starts by looking at what can we accomplish within the existing footprint of the home, rather than forcing room additions that increase costs. So this was a perfect example on how by reconfiguring the actual room sizes, you're able to come up with a generous bedroom. You have some walk-in closet-like feel and functionality with a lot of built-in cabinetry, and you have a generous 4-foot opening with 2 double pocket doors that extend the sight lines so that this room still does not feel congested. You can see front to back of home.
Right, yeah, and so that was something that I took into consideration when planning the layout, how the bathroom's gonna fit. And Jill really wanted the toilet area to be private, and so trying to like play around with creating that water closet and having enough space for that. She really wanted a freestanding tub, so thinking about, okay, where's that gonna go, and thinking about where are all my windows, how is that gonna all fit in with the layout.
Let me step you back a little bit to gain a good understanding of our unique design development process. Our design team always starts with the needs, wants, and wishes, where needs are most important, wants are certainly important, but less important than the needs, and then we have the wishes that would represent, if we could have everything, we'd have that too. Ali, in her answering the needs, wants, and wishes for Jill, started by seeing how can I have a bathroom that has a separate tub. And when we start with the program, and program meaning we need a shower, we need a tub, we need a location for a toilet, and we need a vanity with a lot of storage. Those were the initial marching orders.
One of the needs in the primary bedroom for Jill was closet storage. She had 2 closets on either side here that we removed because we needed to create a better layout for the bedroom to fit the bed. But we also removed a closet that was a little shallow depth shoe closet. And so by removing those, we had to figure out what are we gonna do to give her storage back? Are we gonna put in a standard traditional closet? Or should we create a semi-custom cabinetry, built-in cabinetry that can house her purses and her shoes and her clothing? The other thing we had to take into consideration when thinking about the bedroom layout and the storage to give her that back was she had AC ducts in her existing closets, and we weren't going to redo that whole system. And so we had to figure out, how am I going to conceal that but also make it feel intentional? So you'll notice the bump out here, that's actually housing the old AC duct, or the AC duct that she needs. And we installed a really beautiful wall covering that actually, because of that abstract feel to it, it kind of almost hides that bump out, so you don't really notice it. You won't be able to see this one, but in this tall cabinet, there's another AC duct. So the cabinet looks 27 deep, but it's really only 21 deep. And so there's a back to the cabinet, and then on the side, there's a finished skin. So it makes it look the same depth as the rest of the cabinetry while still hiding that AC duct.
I'm going to bring up systems again. In Ali's space plan, that originally was one large open space, when we start changing the configuration and create separate areas, we had to deal with systems again. I'll point to this radiator, and in the before picture, you see how massive this one. Again, what we use is a slimline technology. It produces the same amount of output in a smaller shell. The space changes because we created a separate room to the front.
So in this bedroom, we created a walk-in closet, but not your typical walk-in closet as you would think. So the cabinetry may look pretty on the outside, but every interior portion of it was thoughtfully designed to accommodate what Jill needed. So in this cabinet, she can put her purses, some shoes, some clothing items. In the drawers, she has 8 drawers that we can put all kinds of different clothing garments, jewelry, different things that she might want to store. And then we thought about hanging storage. So we have a rod in here, and we made sure the depth was enough to accommodate hanging clothing items. So she's got double hanging here, as well as she has double hanging in another taller cabinet. One cool feature about this bedroom is we designed a walk-in closet without actually building a walk-in closet. So we have the semi-custom built-in cabinetry that provides all the needs of a closet for Jill. We are now in the primary bath, and one of the needs in this room was the freestanding tub. And so when Jill initially brought that up, my mind automatically went to how am I going to fit the tub with the freestanding shower in addition to the other needs of this room.
In space planning, we talk a lot about the program, and the program is simply making sure that the things and the functions that are needed in that room get accommodated within the space plan. The program will dictate the space needed, and what I really like about this space is that you have a very strong connection to a bedroom with an open space. It does not feel like two separate rooms. It feels like one room flowing into the other room. You don't have a separate commode room here, but it almost is because it's so private. Tell us what you did when you tucked that commode behind the corner.
Yeah, we tucked the toilet around the corner so it wasn't in the way, and Jill did not want to see the toilet from her tub. So still having that little alcove for the toilet gives the privacy that she wanted. And kind of going back to the tub, because we weren't wanting to redo any of the existing windows, this window was original, it made sense to put the tub here, which then dictated, okay, where are all my other features of the bathroom gonna go?
Ali brought up a really important point, because with an exterior building envelope that is stucco with period appropriate windows, the skill to lay out a space to keep the original window openings, it's not easy, but I think you made it come together really beautifully. The one thing that we'll point to, as we were downstairs, we showed the coffered ceiling. I want you to consider now that the commode, the toilet, sits really on the opposite end of the house. And for us to work through with the infrastructure of plumbing, getting that toilet drain to the main stack that sits some 15 feet over the other direction, kudos to Ed, Sean, our plumber, in figuring out exactly how to deal with that. It is not easy, and this is where so often we come on the scene and we see things that may not have been done exactly appropriate. Systems design is part of the design development. I can't stress that enough. You guys did a great job here. Ali, speak in general of the products that you picked out here and who they are, because as you know, we are a team, and as a team, we work together where every single decision in selections is helping tell the story.
Yep, so our cabinetry, we work with our cabinet company, Countryside Cabinets, and they're great because they even do custom colors. So we send in like a Sherwin-Williams color and they'll match it, and that's what we created here. Jill knew she wanted a certain color that wasn't a part of their standard line, so that was really fun picking that out. We also have almost all Brizo plumbing fixtures. Our tub is Signature Hardware, and then we also worked with Minnesota Tile and Stone for all the tile in the shower, the floor.
Our plumbing fixtures partner wholesale suppliers, Ferguson, and all the products that are on the plumbing side, even the accessories, are supplied by Ferguson. Glass is also a huge part. There's a reason why you selected what you did, and talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we work with American Glass, and so we designed a knee wall or half wall with the glass sitting on top, and then a swing door, and so that just makes the space feel more open instead of enclosing the shower completely. And you can also, figure out what accents do I want it to be. Like in the hall bath, you'll notice it's all black trim and black hardware to go with the plumbing fixtures in that bathroom. In this bathroom, we have the Luxe Gold plumbing fixtures. So then we made the trim and the hardware on the glass shower to go with the Luxe Gold plumbing fixtures. Another partner is Granite Tops. So we have this beautiful quartz countertop. We worked with them and created, again, full height backsplash. Normally you'll see like a 4-inch, but in this one we have an 18-inch height splash with a little ledge cap on there just to add some extra character and detail to the space.
In our design development process at New Spaces, lighting plan is something that is also incredibly important.
Yep, so Jill and I looked through the different fixtures and we worked with Visual Comfort. They're a great company, and we picked out the chandelier or pendant above the tub, again in that kind of champagne bronze gold finish to tie in with the other details and fixtures of the space. The vanity light is also from Visual Comfort, and so pairing, the circular design and the finish of the metal and trying to tie all the different details together with that lighting.
Thank you for spending time with New Spaces, Ali and I, today. What we've witnessed and reviewed together is a gem of a 1920s Colonial. We work through the needs, wants, and wishes, and what we've done here is introduce the amenities that you don't see in a 1920s home. We are part of changing how people live. People out there that are considering renovating an older home. You have to think about structure, space plan, systems. Those three things together with code changes. And the way we built the home in 1920 is very different today. I urge you, connect with New Spaces, go to our website, newspaces.com, fill out a contact form, and Ali and I will be there and will help you live better. Thank you.